Hello everyone, I'm Dave Crockett, District Sales Manager for Sumitomo here in Southern New England. I cover the Southern New England states of Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island. I also cover the New York City metro area. I cover 4 boroughs of New York City, Manhattan, Queens, Bronx, and Brooklyn. I also cover Nassau and Suffolk counties, which is Long Island, and the Hudson River Valley, which are suburbs just north of New York City. My success story today involves replacing a product. My friend John DeFelice is a salesman, field salesman for Motion Industries in Warwick, Rhode Island. And he had an application at a scrap metal facility. They were using a 40 horsepower R137 inline gear motor, and they were having many problems. I didn't know what the problems were at first. John invited me in, and I very quickly saw what the problems were. The application is on what's called a magnet belt that separates the ferrous from the non-ferrous materials. What was happening was a small crack started developing in the drain plug of the SEW unit. That crack eventually became bigger and bigger and bigger until the output shaft and the gear casing sheared right off. I do have a picture of that failure. Hopefully you can see it in the graphic. You only have half of a gear casing right here. It took about 6 months for that to happen. They had a spare unit. They put the spare SEW unit on. That also failed in 6 months. They had a second magnet belt. They didn't want to chance that ever happening again. So John called me in, and I gave them the typical Sumitomo dog and pony show, and I really talked up the Cyclo, which most of us have a passion for. So what we did to replace that unit was our 40 horsepower Cyclo 621 top mount with a 40 horsepower motor. It's been running for over 6 months very successfully, and they're very happy with it. What sold them on the unit was the actual operation of the Cyclo, the way I explained it to them, and also I had a cutaway model showing how the Cyclo worked, and they were all amazed, and they were all very pleased. So as of right now, that was installed in October of last year. They got more than 6 months out of it. There's no signs of any cracks or any problems, and they all seem very happy with it. As a value-added service that I provided to my friend John at Motion Industries, he had trouble finding a motor that would fit the top mount. At first, I suggested our standard 40 horsepower Toshiba motor. When they went to install it, it turned out to be too long for the application. It wouldn't fit against the wall. My friend John was an SKF bearings guy for 30 years. He admittedly did not know much about motors or gearboxes. That's why he called on a factory guy like me. So I came in and I suggested to John a marathon motor, non-ventilated, that fit the application perfectly. And I can show you a picture again to remind you. It's a nice top mount motor, non-ventilated, and it fit the application perfectly. So most of us at Sumitomo are engineers, or we think outside the box. And that's what I did in this case. So it was a twofold solution that I helped my customer with, and they're all very happy.